I think you already said it, an offense that has stunk this year, a quarterback that has never done this. Everyone's doing what the hell's the matter with Drake London? What the hell's the matter with Zach Robinson, their OC? What the hell's the matter with Kyle Pitts? What's going on with Michael Penix? I got the cure for what ails you. They're wearing burgundy and a little bit of white, and they're coming to town, and you can do whatever the hell you want. Enjoy it. It's a carnival ride. You get one ticket, you get to go over and over and over and over again, like off-season at King's Dominion, and you get in line for the Anaconda. Enjoy it. This defense sucks. Marshawn Latimore sucks. Anybody else want a piece? They had an out this offseason. They didn't take it. Plenty of cornerbacks that are making a lot less than that guy are playing a lot better. They can't cover. That's the story. That's your A headline, and all the way through the newspaper, the old school newspaper. You go through the B section, B1, B7, like you're playing Battleship. Every story should be about they can't cover, and then tell me about the rest of it. We'll get to timeout management and how the offense played that was undermanned. There's plenty to talk about. They can't cover. Back to you.
Yeah, I thought there was a chance you go to Atlanta because of all the injuries and you lose, and you kind of feel like it was still a progressive step forward, a tight game. And there's just not enough plays being made with a bunch of guys not participating, backup quarterback under center. That's not what happened here. The healthier side of the ball gave you no chance. Yeah, they've got some injuries right now on defense. Dietrich Wise, their defensive end, is a guy they're going to miss on edge runs, and that's where they got chewed up by Bijan Robinson. If you remember, Will Harris, for the first time at safety, wasn't playing, nor was Percy Butler, who's one of his understudies. So you're down 2 safeties on the back end. And Jonathan Jones, one of their veteran backup corners, was also not playing. So they were without, theoretically, like 4 guys that are a part of the rotation, almost all of them in the back end. Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who had a really good start to the game, tears his pec. It sounds like he leaves the locker room in a sling. He's not going to be back in the foreseeable future, reportedly. That's not the side of the ball where you had the out. That's not the side of the ball where you had the excuses. Because the big defensive front was still there to stop the run. You were going to be able to get pressure because all hands were on deck there. And it didn't happen. They were okay, I thought, for the most part against the run. Robinson and Algier combined for 126 yards on 33 attempts, right around 4 a pop. There were some violent physical runs where you didn't tackle well that led to touchdowns. And they ripped off a 14 to 19-yard touchdown run running through tackles. I think there were 12 to 15, somewhere in there, depending on the site you're looking at. Missed tackles in the game. Major, major, major problem. But as you said, Danny, the issue here was 0 pass rush and 0 coverage on the back end. Michael Penix, who this week Falcons reporters were asking Raheem Morris about as a starting quarterback, about being benched possibly, was just throwing against air. It looked like a practice 7-on-7 where he's just throwing to wide open Drake London, 8 catches, 10 targets, 110 yards. Bijan Robinson in space. If only someone had said, please never defend him with a linebacker. Everyone knows this. Joe Witt knows this. And there it was. Bobby Wagner trying to run with Bijan Robinson. The result, 70 yards, and he sets up a score. They had 0 answers on defense. And their offensive coordinator in Atlanta, Zach Robinson, who had to come down from the booth to the sideline, who had to fire a coach this week, who people were calling for the head of, who looks like he is kind of ill-prepared and just unqualified most of the time. He worked Joe Witt in the coaching matchup. Defensive-minded staff, by the way. Head coach Dan Quinn, defensive coordinator Joe Witt. Like, I'm getting tired of the having a defensive-minded head coach and still having a bad defense thing. Because I remember it when Ron Rivera was here.
Yeah, I liked it the first time.
At some point, how is the defense terrible? Like, this is what you do.
Well, you're supposed to have competence, too. From the Ron Rivera and old dust-up, this is what it looked like. By the way, passing off routes, communicating on defense. That's communication. I never want to hear that again, by the way. Joe Barry says hello. Like, at least when I have some adults in the room who can understand timeout usage. We still don't, by the way. They squander a second-half timeout early in the third quarter every damn week because they can't get organized. What is it you'd say you do here at a certain point? But to me, the run game, the run defense, once again, plenty good enough. Algier just over 3 a carry. Bijan Robinson under his season average. He's going to do that to a lot of people. He's always going to get his bursts of 6 and 7, double-digit yard gains because he's excellent. Right? You do the best you can. You corral him, you gang tackle. But for the most part, they held him in check on the ground. It's the air. 2nd and 17, you get a first down on that drive. 2nd and 16, you get a first down, whether it's that play or the next play. 2nd and 13, they find a way to get first downs. It was these moments where the run game, inevitably, even the best running teams in the world, the run will stop itself. Holding penalties, someone doesn't execute, maybe one of your guys knifes through, tackle for a loss. You get the whole point of this defense this year, this whole offseason, was about setting up those kinds of downs, the obvious passing downs. That'll improve the defense. That'll improve the pass coverage. You'll see. We'll get home on some precious. We'll have some guys running wild and free. It'll be run stuffers on first down, but second down, the opponents will run free. Watch this. We'll hit the quarterback. Zero pressure. Zero, zero, zero. Zero ability to cover. In obvious passing situations, 3rd and 7 on the final drive where they go run, run, pass, run, run, pass, easy conversions. They cannot cover anyone. I don't know if it's man. I don't know if it's zone. They tried everything. Joe Witt's got nothing on that little play sheet. There's nothing that he could say into that little headset to communicate to Bobby Wagner with the little green dot helmet that's going to work. They can't cover anyone.
When they won on first down, 2nd and 17, Atlanta gets 14. 2nd and 16, they got 43. Latimore got toasted despite a penalty.
And he held too. He's special, isn't he?
2nd and 13, they get 15. 2nd and 12, Atlanta gets 12. 2nd and 12, incomplete.
Here we go. Let's go.
Wait, there's a flag.
Oh.
Defensive holding. Automatic first down. Those are the down and distances you wake up in the middle of the night licking your lips about. Just thinking about how good that donut's going to be in the morning. 2nd and 17, 2nd and 16, 2nd and 13, 2nd and 12, 2nd and 12. That's the dream. And in almost all of those downs and distances, it didn't work. So overall, defensively, they give up 435 yards and 6.8 per play, which over the course of the season would be far and away number 1 in the NFL. I know they came in really good statistically on 3rd down. I think that was mostly that Giants game. Regardless, small sample size, they were number 1 in the NFL. They gave up a 50% conversion rate, 6 of 12, which was a little bit better than that earlier in the game. And then the only 4th down attempt, 1 for 1 for Atlanta, was not even close. They needed a couple of yards. They got a wide open guy and moved the chain.
How many do you want? You can get more than 2. We'll get you whatever you want.
First takeaway of the season. They had not taken the ball away from an opponent. And while Mikey Sanders still made a nice catch, I'll give him credit, he went up the ladder. It was just a terrible decision and a terrible throw by Penix when he actually had Drake London wide open behind Sanders still, who was kind of trying to get depth, and he made the leaping interception on an underthrown ball by Penix. But that is the only takeaway this defense has in 16 quarters. So what you have right now, Danny, is a collection of guys where they're not making enough plays. There's not like playmakers that are generating takeaways. They only had 2 quarterback hits on Michael Penix in the entire game. They had 0 pass rush. And that has not been a problem for the most part this year. They were top 10 in sacks. They were number 1, at least according to one of the sites, in pass rush pressure percentage, basically. Mm-hmm. They'd been really, really good. Not in this game. The missed tackles, double digits, way too many. And then the coverage problems. So the result was Michael Penix, career day, free and easy. Atlanta's running backs out of the backfield with Robinson going for over 100. Drake London, 100-yard game to get right in his own way. I don't know what you hang your hat on. Like defensively, the identity right now is size, physicality, winning the line of scrimmage on early downs up front, and like stopping the run. In that regard, going up against the best back in the league, maybe you held your own. You didn't win like you have in your 2 victories, but you were okay. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, like, what do?
They're slow
because they can't run with people at the 2nd and 3rd level. They're faster, but in the linebacking core, like Luvu or Wagner coming downhill, sign me the heck up right here and right now. But when you start getting them to run toward the sideline, this does not work.
Even the final drive that sealed the game, that little field goal, right? You forced multiple 3rd downs on that drive. 3rd and 4, you tip your cap. Penix actually made a really good play, scrambles for 5 yards for a first down. 3rd and 6, easy completion of Kyle Pitts, who stinks, by the way, who is a disappointment, who everybody hates down there, but not yesterday. He was wonderful.
He didn't on the 22 and 26-yard catches that he made.
Yeah.
Or on his touchdown.
He looked great on those, as you and I were worried he would. 3rd and 6, easy conversion with a penalty on Quan Martin there, by the way. 3rd and 7, couple downs later.
I know this went around yesterday. I thought it was a tough day at the office for number 20.
Yeah. And more in store, probably. Michael Penix complete to Drake London on 3rd and 7, which sets up what ended up, again, being the game-winning field goal. That's the microcosm. We wouldn't even get to the egregious ones. We talked about them some. 2nd and 16, 2nd and 17, the pin your ears back, let's go feast, nothing happens there. When everyone knows you're passing, that's what this league is. It's always going to be 3rd and 7. Who does it best on either side of the ball is who wins. That's the best way to me to break it down. 3rd and 7 when the whole world knows you're passing, can you pass? 3rd and 7 when you know they're passing, can you stop it? The answer is no right now for Washington on defense. That's the story of the game to me. They're 2 road games. They have been torched through the air. Gino got him too. The only times he didn't get him was when they're pressuring him, they hit him, they sacked him a couple different times. When that happens, the pass defense is fine. My contention is when the ball is actually thrown, when the ball is in the air, it's them, it's Dallas, it's Miami for who's the worst. Shuffle up and deal. You could pick one out of a hat and you're probably not wrong. They are a disaster in that regard. I don't know what the fix is. I'm not smart enough to know. Because again, they tried everything yesterday. They tried they man more than most people. People were going, you can't play zone. What can they play? What is it that you can do? When you rush with 4 and you have 7 guys covering, those guys can't do it. When you double somebody, when you man somebody, everybody but the Giants. And thank God they played a couple of teams that were so hell-bent on headbutting you and running the dang ball between the tackles in Green Bay, and then previous week using their new toy, Ashton Genty. If they just dropped back and threw, who knows how many points they would score. Atlanta torched them through the air with a guy that has been awful. I'm a Mike Penix fan. I think he's going to be really good. He hasn't been good at all in any of his games until yesterday. He set career highs against them.
Well, I think the most frustrating thing for me about this defense was in game 1 against the Giants, who had flaws clearly. You saw a lot of the things they preached all offseason and felt like they were going to get better at, and it kind of came to fruition. But on a sliding scale here, like a staircase level regression, every week it has gotten worse and worse and worse. And the 2 road games, it's like you didn't get off the bus. There was just almost like a lack of preparation or juice or energy. It's been a tale of 2 clubs. The home games, both scheduled wins, mind you. The Raiders, cross-country, Monday night into a Sunday. And the Giants, before the Jackson Dart quarterback change, they actually won with their rookie quarterback going, invigorating them and injecting some youth and exuberance yesterday. But you get those 2 wins at home. And by the way, they played well enough and won by enough that they got style points in those. Those were good outings. But at Green Bay, and then yesterday in Atlanta, this has been ugly. This has been Del Rio defense level of gross. To the point where, as the game went on, Danny, before the camera pans to the receiver, like you see Penix with that absolute cannon hanging from his shoulder, and he rips a ball, and the camera then has to correct to show downfield over the receiver, you just know the guy's going to be wide open.
There's separation there.
It was all day long. There were not contested plays. It was as if the Falcons were a couple steps ahead of Washington from a coaching standpoint when their offense was on the field throughout the game. By the way, right now, 30th against the pass, giving up over 8 yards per play. 249 per game through the air, and that's with a really good week 1, kind of as a quarter of the season, so that helps you, but still they're on pace that if you played them 17 times, you'd throw for like 4,300 yards.
Yeah, if you only got to play them, you'd be the MVP of the league as the quarterback. I wish I was smart enough to tell you, here's how I would fix it. My first fix would have been this offseason and would have not included Marshawn Latimore anymore. I saw it. No, thank you. I get why they made the trade. I would have made the trade too, by the way, because you're running a race, your wheels are breaking down, and right before the end of the race, someone offers you wheels. You're gonna pay for that. You're gonna try. You went to the NFC title game. It worked to a degree, right? He's not good. They could have gone out this offseason free of charge, basically. Cut him, lost a couple of draft picks. They might have had a tough time selling that to people, but I think when Nate Hobbs is playing for you, or Jordan Lewis is one of the top-rated corners in the league, or Isaiah Rodgers, who was available, who single-handedly won games for Minnesota at this point. When any of these guys that are making a lot less against the cap than he is were playing for you, you'd feel a lot better about it. You'd go, I wish I had that 3rd round or whatever the hell they gave up for him. He stinks. There's nothing that he can do right now other than commit penalties and give up things.
So I get why he is an easy punching bag, and I'm not pushing back in any way on how he is playing or how he's played or whether he's washed or what he has left in the tank. I do think, not unlike when we talk about Josh Connerly at tackle, and we say part of the job is on the staff and play calling and usage and helping him to insulate him a little bit. It's a hard job on an island tackle in the National Football League. So do things to help him. Some of that is game situation, being ahead of the stick. Some of that is play calling and running the ball more. Some of that's putting Trent Scott next to him as a big tight end extra tackle, right? And in the same way with Latimore, there are ways to insulate and benefit players. Now, is he the guy who has the largest contract on the entire team at $97.6 million? Yes, absolutely, he is that guy. Is he one of your 5 highest paid players behind McLaurin, Tunsil, Payne, and he's 4th in AAV? Absolutely. So Heavy lies the crown. The expectations should totally be high enough that you don't need to help him a ton. They act like he's a corner one.
Yeah.
Who can shut guys down. And frankly, what's really alarming is this is the kind of matchup, I think, where Marshawn Latimore should feast because it is
against a Drake London.
Bigger, more physical, slower, plus-size tight end type wide receiver who mostly operates around the line of scrimmage and in the 10 to 12-yard area. This is where he made his money in his career, basically getting into hand fights with guys like Mike Evans and some of these, bigger plotting wideouts. So the fact that this one went as badly as it did, not ideal.